this is very exciting because for a lot of Persona fans, a lot of people got in at 4. And not to say there aren't a lot of fans of 3. There are tons of them, but many of us got in at 4, and even more, I would say, got in at 5. And I've never fully played Persona 3, but it's my understanding that it is really, really fantastic. And for the people that have played, we'll say the 3 modern Persona games, as in 3, 4, and 5, many of them consider it the best one, and also one of the darkest of the 3, which I think sounds really cool. And so this is really exciting to see Atlas go in and give it the remake treatment. We've talked about how the recent re-release wasn't really, at least for me, what I would have wanted to see, being that it was a port of, I wouldn't say an inferior version of the game, but not the one I would want to play. It was the port of the PSP version, which wasn't quite the same in terms of how you interact and navigate around the world. And but it had some advantages in how the combat works. So to me, the thought of this, I can't see a way that they would screw this up and somehow not make the game better. Really, all they need to do, they just keep the story, upgrade the visuals, upgrade the combat, and maybe do some stuff in order to make the dungeon sequences a little more unique. But to me, this just seems like a home run where they can have another great Persona game out. It's a surefire home run. And especially for, like I said, the people that are getting in, that got in after Persona 3, a lot of us really want to play this game and want to play a new awesome version of it. And like I said, they had this new version, but it wasn't really quite ideal. So this is really exciting. And I'm just curious what the plans are overall with Persona, because I'm guessing this is going to come out significantly before Persona 6. But it was weird because last year, when they were doing the Persona anniversary stuff, it all felt like it was leading up to an announcement of Persona 6 that eventually did not happen. And some people theorized that plans had changed throughout that lead up where they decided they weren't ready to show it yet, which may be smart in the fact that Persona 5 had such a long lead up of when it was announced and when it came out. And maybe they decided they didn't want to do that again, which I personally appreciate. Just, there's no problem. We're willing to wait. And especially if you have a awesome looking remake in the pipeline, just keep it close. But it's important to remember one last thing is that the team behind Persona, which is P Studio, they were working and announced a new project called Project Re-Fantasy that I'm wondering if at this point is just completely canceled, because we haven't heard about anything for literally years. I don't know how many years exactly, but this game has totally gone dark.
And have we seen, are there any assets for that?
Yeah, there is one art asset. Actually, I misspoke. This is Studio Zero, I believe. So a lot of the Persona team that worked on those games were supposedly working on this. And maybe it was just one of those things where the monumental success of Persona 5 made them have to reorganize how they were doing things. So either way, exciting times for Persona fans. And I'm desperate to know more about this remake.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, this is interesting. I don't remember this. Yeah, announced in 2016. Atlas fans first heard word. The studio's created. Yeah, I wonder what happened to that. Very interesting. COVID fucked a lot of things up, though, I think.
Yeah.
And of course, I think, Persona 6 is going to be huge. Just absolutely huge. And I was thinking, I'm like, why Persona 3? Why not go and remake the first one? But in reading more about Persona, having never played those games before the first 3, I realized that the social links were not added till the third game, which is the thing people really love, although they all have that, like, the high school kids setting. But there's also, and I'm confused. I got to read more about it. I'm a little confused. I'll go. No one has to write in about it. I'll go read about it. But there are 2 different Persona 2s as well.
Yes.
And one of them never even came out west. And you would think that you would want to maybe get that out there as well. I wonder if this all culminates in a Suikoden-like release of just those early games as is, or maybe with some mild updates to just get. In other words, I'm confused why they wouldn't want to just do that. People would buy the shit out of those. Probably hundreds of thousands of people would buy Persona Revelations or whatever the hell it's called, Revelations Persona, the first game. I also heard that the localization of that game, the first Persona game in the West, is not good. That it's radically different than it was in the Japanese version. So there's reasons to go back. I'd be very curious about that, but maybe they're afraid of kind of showing too much, or that there's not enough of that interest. What is this?
Yeah, so I've mentioned this on the show before, but it's worth mentioning again that Persona 2 totally has Hitler in it. Just straight up. And they changed him for the US release where they call him the Fuhrer and he's got sunglasses on. It's like a bad disguised Hitler.
That's so weird.
So maybe they're looking at that and thinking, well, we might need to revamp some things with that game in order to do that. But I always find that hilarious. I want to own that game very badly. It is one of the most expensive PS1 games.
Oh, interesting. How much?
I think it's like $300. Here, I'll take just a quick look at price charting. Let's see, Persona 2, Eternal Punishment, complete price $375.
Wow,
for that.
It's almost like if you just want this shit, you just got to buy it now. You know, like if you really want, that's never going to get any better, probably.
No.
Although we watch a lot of Antiques Roadshow and they do these updates sometimes like 20 years later, and sometimes the prices go down on these things.